welcome to the show. We start this week a little heavy because it was a heavy weekend, which all started with a heavy end to last week. We continue to fail our women. 2 women who went missing, found dead. You had Crystal Primus Espinosa, and we're still waiting all the facts on that one. But really the one on the top of my mind is 18-year-old Ashanti Riley. Teenager, life taken away, and for what? And when these things happen, we try to make sense of it by saying, well, if she hadn't done this, and why didn't she do that? And it's a coping mechanism. I get it. And just this lack of belief that there are just evil people out there in the world. And on Friday, I was meeting up with a few friends, socially distanced, and we were trying to come up with ideas. We're like, well, what if there's an app or like a Bluetooth that scans your location and sends a QR code to taxi, and just all of these crazy things we were coming up with. And we finally ended on, well, why don't we regulate PH taxis, so that they have character references? And I thought about it, and the Prime Minister had some similar thoughts as well.
I'm coming to the conclusion that the state does not have a good handle on who is operating motor vehicles in this country. And among those people, many of them are people who should have nothing to do with picking up people with a motor vehicle.
But in the end, if people are just evil, and if they're evil enough to commit such an act in the first place, I don't know that there's any sort of deterrent strong enough to stop them. But we have to step up. No more silence. Call out violence when you see it, and violence takes all sorts of different forms. Like, take what these people did in Arima. Yeah, they saw something going on and said, hey, this does not look right. And the man was arrested and released, and we only can now hope that she is okay, because it's not clear where she is now. But also last week, the gender-based violence unit, and really it's been happening all weekend and this week as well, they've just been unleashing a fury of people who have been charged with all of these heinous crimes. And it comes in the midst of a time where we're supposed to be fighting harder than ever against violence against our girls, because from November 25th, the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, to December 10th, Human Rights Day, it's supposed to be 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and yet here we are. And it was funny enough that last week there was this usual pushback against sex education in schools by religious organizations, the Mahasabha, and the Catholic Church didn't say much, but the Catholic Church also hasn't said much about this, except, they were quick to talk about a man who couldn't go to his own funeral because he was sitting up. But sex ed is not just about teaching children to have sex. It stops them from having sex. And more so that, biology is important to know, but what we really need to work on is our psychology, our training, have the hard conversations. It's not about teaching girls how to prevent themselves from being raped, but how to tell boys not to rape. And I will admit we are getting there. It's taking a while. It will take a lot of unlearning, but really we just have to stop defending wrong behavior. Call your friends out when they do nonsense, and don't be afraid to get help. Anybody, man, woman, child, get help. And nothing that I'm saying here is new or groundbreaking. We've been saying this, but we'll continue saying it until we don't have to say it anymore. It's never easy, but it has to happen, and I really hope it happens quickly, because lives are at risk, and we are losing lives every single day. Let's take a break.